Space. I'm Kim Kral. I'm reporting to you not live from my closet. Hi, everybody. Hi. I have had a weird up and down emotional couple of weeks. I did not anticipate myself being obsessed with every tiny mistake I made in the process of writing a book. I prepared myself for a lot of things. I prepared myself for nobody liking it. I prepared myself for nobody buying it. I prepared myself for people not buying it, but like shitting on it or being, you know what? I did kind of prepare myself for people sending me, because, people, I'm going to quote Taylor Swift here. Please don't judge me. Everybody loves Taylor Swift, though. We all gained all kinds of respect for Taylor, too. For Taylor, because we're like friends. For Taylor, when she finally stepped up. Not finally. I say finally because I was thinking about Oprah. God, I hate Oprah. I tried to listen to Oprah yesterday because she was interviewing a spiritual teacher that I love quite a bit. If you've heard of Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, Jerry Hicks, it's like a whole, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if I try to explain it to you, you're going to be like, what do you believe in? But if you know what I'm talking about, then you believe too. And maybe I'll get into, just look them up. I don't know. I'm not going to do it justice, but they're like my number one favorite spiritual teacher. And so I was Googling, them, or no, I wasn't. I was just on YouTube, and it suggested Oprah is interviewing Esther Hicks. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll give this bitch one more chance. God, I hate Oprah, man. I got maybe 7 minutes into her interview with her. She's just the worst. I don't care if it's not a popular opinion. I think, I think when this whole human thing ends and we all look back, you're going to be like, yo, well, no one's going to care then because we're not going to be human anymore. But I'm just saying, like, Oprah's not the beacon of whatever everybody thinks she is. Anyway, so I said finally, because I don't understand why Oprah doesn't use her powers for good. Instead, she uses powers for being like, I would like to understand. There's a few things she's done recently that I'm not going to get into the Oprah thing. As soon as I talk about how much I don't like Oprah, there's like 8 of us on the planet that are like, yeah, same. And then everybody else is like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? But I love Taylor Swift because, I loved her before, but then the fact that she used her, her stardom to be like, hey, register to vote, right? Anyway, so Taylor Swift has a song, I don't remember what it's called, but one of the lyrics is, people throw rocks at things that shine. People throw rocks at things that shine. That's true. That's so true. And I kind of had prepared myself for it, but I didn't prepare myself. There's like one specific person that just keeps letting me know all the mistakes in the book that were made. And I did hang out with this person, like a week or so ago. And she also randomly started pointing out some of my flaws in front of people. And so I just, I got to keep learning that lesson. I think especially I'm a person that has faith in humans. I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I will give everybody a chance, but the lesson I have to keep learning is that anybody who wants to be in my life I don't have to let them be in my life. I've hung out with this person 4 or 5 times now, and I just never feel good when I leave her. Every time I leave, I'm like, oh my God, is my tooth really I have 2 fake teeth, but one is they're implants, and one of the implants is older. And so the gum, it just always wasn't that great. I got one in LA and one in Denver, and the LA one was just it was more expensive, but more aesthetically pleasing. The one in Denver, we don't, it's not a Hollywood thing. And so it's one of my major insecurities, my teeth. And yeah, so I left her being like, oh my God, can people tell about my tooth? And I just, come on, man. I spelled the word forward wrong. I don't even know if I talked about this last week. So much has happened from this Wednesday to last Wednesday, but I spelled the word, it's fixed now, right? It's fixed now. But I don't know. I ordered 4 books because I wanted to send out 4 books. I'm on a radio show in Eau Claire, Minnesota. I think that's how you say it. This guy, Chris, he has a show called The Passion Pod, and it's podcast form. You should listen to it. You should listen to all the episodes. This guy is really awesome. but it's like a local radio show that he transfers over to a podcast, and he's just like a positive light. He's just awesome. But I'm sending him 2 copies, one for himself and then one he's going to give away to his listeners. And so I switched the word forward. Ugh, it's haunting me. Like losing sleep haunting me. I'll explain why. But I wanted to send him one with a forward correct, right? And so I fix it. Amazon approved it. Even on the website, it has it correctly spelled, like when you can like peek in the book or whatever. But apparently not yet. I don't know if they, so I have to let it go, man. I have to let it go. This broad didn't even point out the word forward. I guess there's a couple of apostrophes she didn't approve of in the book. And it's so funny. It's like, I have gotten so many good, like amazing compliments from this book, like compliments that are like, I read this book in a day. I couldn't put it down. Oh my God. People I don't know, like a girl from my high school, her friend bought it and she was like, I couldn't put it down. This girl's a riot. So like, I can't focus on that, and I know that's human. I know it's fucking human. So the forward thing is just really funny because my buddy Whitney Melton wrote the forward, and he wrote the forward. And when he sent it to me, he spelled it FOREWORD. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that's how it was spelled. And then we had like a whole conversation about it. And he was like, yeah, most people don't, which is, thank God. I need to just let this fucking go. I got to let it go. Ugh. But we just had a whole conversation, and then I Googled it. And the 2 things, so the formatting, when you self-publish, you do your own formatting. And so I wrote the title forward by Whitney Melton, and then I didn't have anybody read my acknowledgments. Actually, I had a couple of people read the acknowledgments, which is good because they didn't notice the word forward was wrong either. Nobody reads the forward. I need to just calm the fuck down. But as soon as I got the book, I saw it, and I literally lost like 3 days of sleep. Last week. Not full days, obviously, but I didn't get much sleep because I was just only thinking about that. And I know that is my own inner demons, right? Like if anyone is reading the book and they're like, ew, she spelled the word forward wrong, or and I know like in the book there's some grammatical stuff that isn't like, Webster dictionary approved. I don't even know if that's a thing. But that's how I talk. And so it was important to me that this book was in my voice. And if someone reads it and they're just like, oh, there was a comma where there shouldn't be a comma, or an apostrophe where there was apostrophe, it's like it's not the book for you. And just, I don't know, guys. But it is my own demons, it's my own. I told you guys the story, like just to give you an idea of how stupid my father used to treat me, and like my family. Anytime I was like, hi, how are you guys? They would be like, hi, how are you? Like I just got made fun of a lot for and I get it. Like talking shit about each other and making fun of each other is sort of my family's love language. It's a lot of families' love language. It's just not mine, right? It makes me feel bad. I don't like it. So if you're a person that knows me and you're like, oh, I shouldn't nag her. Yeah, I don't find it cute. I'm not. And I think most emotionally intelligent, adapted people they don't enjoy it either. Like most people I know don't like being made fun of, but my family, primarily it started with my father, thought I was very stupid. And, I went to the library with a bunch of my family a couple of years back. And I was looking at a biography. I know I've told you guys this, but this is more for me, I think, because this is just old voices. So I was looking at a biography, Trevor Noah's biography, at the library. My aunt came up to me, and I love her, and I know that it wasn't like shitty. I know and now it's interesting because this side of the family particularly knows me a lot better now in the last couple of years, and they would never ever make these assumptions, but they had these assumptions because this was my role in the family dynamic growing up, right? The stupid role. Everybody had a part. Mine was the dumb girl. And what's really shitty about that? I wasn't even pretty back then, so I couldn't even be the dumb pretty one. I was just the dumb goofy one. Not that means anything, but it's just like, couldn't have given a little bit, universe, just like whatever. Now I got to be smart and pretty, so I guess what am I complaining about? Wow, that's way too cocky. It's not, though. I don't think so. I think if I have this written on my desk, a guy I dated who's not in the book years and years ago, very nice guy. so hot, like so hot. His name was like Zach, so hot, just this attractive, hot man. He was a blonde man. Blonde adult men kind of freak me out. But and he had this beautiful high-rise apartment in San Diego that was just like all windows and overlooked the ocean. I have no idea what that guy does or did. I have no idea. But we were talking about, I was having some insecurities about my career. This is like 9 years ago. I don't even know if I was a comedian yet. And he was like, if you don't believe in you, how do you expect anybody else to believe in you? If you don't believe in you, how do you expect anybody else to believe in you? And I wrote it down and it's on my desk, where it's like, if I don't think I'm awesome, why would I expect anybody else to think I was awesome? You know what I like? So that's why when I'm like, I get to be pretty and smart now. I know some people are like, ew. Society is so funny to me. It's like self-love, self-love, self-love. Whoa, wow. She's like really full of herself. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, talk to yourself nicely, love yourself, but don't love yourself too much, because then we'll think you're an asshole. And it's just like, I can't keep up with the rules. But with my dad, it was my junior year and I was about to take the SATs and the ACTs. Now, look, I didn't get a very good score on either one of those, like laughably bad. I mean, like embarrassingly bad. I was dating this dude a couple of years ago and he said he had really bad SAT scores. And I was like, an ACT, you know what I'm talking about, right? The tests. Do they still have those standardized tests that help you get into college? Which I don't think they should have. I don't think that's a measure if you're smart. I also don't think school is a measure if you're smart, right? Like, I didn't do great in school, but it wasn't because I wasn't smart. It was because I was treated like a fucking idiot at home. And also I had a lot going on that I didn't have time to learn about all the crap that we were supposed to be learning about. It was like, well, my mom's in and out of jail and rehab, or these crazy ass boyfriends. And Tom yells at me when he can't watch me change. So like, I had a little bit more going on than if I should learn all the fucking capitals of our country. Right. But so the SAT, ACT, I was dating this guy and I was like, oh, I promise you, I had way worse scores than you. And he's like, I doubted I'm pretty dumb. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm dumb. I just, I remember that day. I do think on some level I have a little bit of ADD, ADHD, not diagnosed, but there are certain things that I do that like when I read about it, or my friends with ADHD, I'm like, oh, I have that too. So I'll probably have to ask that to the doctor when I go to the doctor, which I know I promised you 2 weeks ago I would, and I have not yet, but I will. But so, I remember taking that test and I was just like, sometimes, and it's timed. So when I would zone out for a good 15 minutes and then I'd be like, fuck. And then I'd like fill in bubbles and like, I was just like, whatever, fill. And then, so I didn't take the test anyway. So I told the guy, I was like, no, I promise you mine was worse. And then I dug up my scores because they're like in a box somewhere in my apartment now. I don't even know where now, but, and I read them to him and he was like, oh yeah, yours was really bad. I was like, yeah, really bad. So the year that we were supposed to take the SAT, ACT, my dad decided upon to himself, I think I told you guys this, I don't know, if I haven't, it doesn't matter, that he was going to help me by buying Hooked on Phonics. Yes, that Hooked on Phonics. Where the children, to help children read. I was 16, 17 years old. I knew how to read at that point, right? And so he was like, no, we're just going to play it and it's going to be good for you. My dad used to also tell me all the time that one of his biggest regrets, quote, my biggest regret with you is that I didn't read to you enough. I'm like, really, Tom? That's what you look back on and you regret that right there, that you didn't read to me enough? What about all the bathing together or your porn collection? That didn't, but yeah, he was always like, that's my biggest regret. So we're sitting in the living room. He pulls out this Hooked on Phonics and he reads the directions on the first game. And the first game is, flashcards, basically, where you hold up the card and someone's emailing me. You hold up the card and someone, or the person who's not holding the card. Why am I having a hard time with this? the person holds up a card and then the other person reads what's on the card, right? Because it's like a reading game. And there's a picture of what you're trying to read along with sounding out the words. We holds up the first card and I was like, Dad, this is really beyond ridiculous. And he's like, it's okay. It's okay. We'll just take our time, sound it out. And I was like, dude, I can read. And he went, just sound it out. Just do it. And I was like, and I'm not kidding. I know this is like out of a fucking movie because it sounds so goddamn ludicrous. I'm not kidding. I was like, the word is cat, Dad. It says cat. It literally was like dash at. And then it had a picture of an orange cat. And I was like, the word is cat, Dad. And he was like, good job. And like high-fived me. It was so insane. It was so insane. I'm right. My next book is going to be about my relationship with my father. And he can't sue me because he died. When I was doing all my libel research, I found out that dead people can't sue you. So the only name in my book that wasn't changed besides Katie, Dave, and Roger was the dead guy. If you haven't bought my book yet, you're going to have to buy it in order to know who the dead guy is. Because I read that you can't sue a dead person. Like so his family can't sue me because he's dead, right? Which I don't even say anything that bad about him. But so I was treated that way. And it wasn't like when we got my ACT, SAT scores, I don't even remember a reaction. I think admittedly, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. A lot of times in that home was really, fucked up and scary. So I don't remember a lot of my childhood and certainly don't remember bad stuff. I assume we just didn't talk about it. And I know he was really disappointed. I got into college because I had decent grades and I got 2 great recommendation letters from 2 of my favorite teachers. And it was an in-person interview and I'm likable. So I got into college because my grades were good enough. I had these 2 things and I was likable. And because the ACT, SAT scores, whatever. So the point is I was treated like a moron for most of my whole life. Right. And until I got to LA, I wrote this on my Instagram the other day, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I got to LA. I was like 21 years old. And this woman, Chipper, Lisa, who's since passed on, rest in peace, Chipper, I guess. I don't know. I think rest in peace is a weird thing to say. But she's since passed on. That's a whole other sad story, but we won't get into it. I do have it on my Patreon. I have a whole episode about dead people, which sounds like it's not a selling point for you to join my Patreon. I know. But she got me a journal. She got me a journal and with a card that was just like, I think you have a lot to say. And I was like, I teared up and I was like, it was like a smart person gift. And I was like, no one's ever bought me anything like this before. And I was like, my family thinks I'm kind of stupid. And she goes, you're not stupid. In fact, you're probably one of the smarter people in your family. I bet you $100 you're one of the smarter people in that entire family. And I cried. And because no one had ever talked to me that way before. No one had ever called me smart up until that point, ever. And so when I misspell a word like forward in my book, it like takes me back to, oh my God, I'm stupid. I had no business writing a book. Oh my God. And no one's going to take me seriously. I suck. I'm stupid. Like those fucking, those tapes that are so old. And I'm working hard to rewire them. It took me a few days to like pause and be like, it's okay. If anyone reads the forward and they're like, yeah, she doesn't know how to spell forward, we don't like this book. They're not for me, And, man, even the Mona Lisa is falling apart. And like my cousin Maggie said, War and Peace has typos. Most books have typos. And I used to love that before I had a book. When I'm a person that finds the typos in books and I don't find them to like criticize the author. I find them and I like them because it means that a bunch of humans made this and humans are flawed. We are flawed and it's beautiful and awesome. And I love that. And my buddy Malone, who wrote his book that you should get if you haven't yet, Dead Serious, before I published mine, he told me about all the the flaws in his book and all the typos and how upset he is. And I was like, and I was able to say to him, every book has a typo, every book. And that's awesome because it just shows the humanness. But when it came to me, it was like, no, I should be perfect. I should be perfect. I should be perfect. And I'm a work in progress. And it took a few days to pause and be like, it's okay. You wrote a goddamn book, and everybody who's reading it can't put it down. Every person that has bought it cannot put it down. Even the Mona Lisa's falling apart. That's my favorite movie, by the way, Fight Club. Fight Club is just a fantastic movie. It has literally everything in it. It even has a love story. There's even a little bit of a love story. It's a fucked up love story, but if you don't know the scene, Edward Norton is looking in the bathroom mirror and he pulls out one of his molars. Like he's like digging in the back and then he pulls out one of the molars and he looks and there's blood, not everywhere, but like as much blood as it would be if you pulled out your own tooth. And he looked at it. And then he like threw it in the sink and was like made like a wincing. And Brad Pitt, who, spoiler, we find out later was actually Ed Norton's like alter ego, goes, hey man, even the Mona Lisa's falling apart. And it's another lesson I got to keep learning, right? It's just like, be so nice to yourself. I was trying to think about like if any of my friends had written a book and they were talking to themselves the way I was talking to myself, I would be like, what are you doing? You wrote a book, a good book, a book I'm really proud of. So that's and another lesson in the whole thing. I'm not perfect, and that's okay. And also, I don't have to be friends with every single person that wants to come in my life. I'm rad. I'm really awesome, right? Like I know a lot of people are like, ugh, again, I love society and how they're like, love yourself, but don't love yourself too much because it makes us all uncomfortable, right? But like, I'm really rad. I'm awesome. A lot of everyone wants to be a part of my life, but I don't need to let every little toxic person come in. And I think that's toxic. I just think feeling like I read my buddy's book and I saw the typos and I thought I liked the typos because it reminded me that he's human, right? It reminded me that he's human. I wasn't like, I should call him and let him know that there were some mistakes. I just don't fucking understand that. I don't understand that. But I'm going to say it again. Even the Mona Lisa is falling apart. Yeah, so it's just been a little bit of a wild week and a half or so. I think I have not a date tonight. I'm not sure if it's a date or not. I don't know. I have no idea. It's with an ex. Not an ex who made the book, an ex that was probably one of my more healthy relationships, someone I was really, really close to. And going back to like, I don't have to let every little person in my life. I already have us in a relationship, right? I'm like, oh my God. And then we're going to have to be in a relationship. And I'm like, no, and like, I'm not saying, oh, we get to be, I'm so excited. Like, I don't know if I feel this way about this person anymore. I don't think I do. It's also been several years since we've actually sat down and spent any real time together. And I just keep thinking I'm so different. And there's a chance that he's so different too. But it's just so funny that I have this like every single person that wants to be in my life. And that's always been my fear with like dating and stuff. Like when I start to date someone, I freak out that they're going to want to be my boyfriend right away. And then I'm stuck. And then I'm fucking stuck. And I'm not stuck anymore. I mean, that goes back to Tom, my intimacy issues, my avoidant stuff, goes back to Tom. My first relationship, sexual relationship, intimate relationship was with my father. And that's so fucked up to say, man. It's so fucked up. We talked about it last week. I appreciate all the love I got for last week's episode. It was tough to record. It was nice to record, but it was tough to record. Yeah, so it was like my first sexual intimate relationship was with my dad, and I was stuck there because one, I depended on him for everything, food, shelter, clothing, everything. And so I literally was stuck in this relationship. And so And it was I gave and gave, and he took and took. And anytime I asked for any needs to be met, I was like berated and scolded and told I was selfish and lazy and awful. Like he was abusive as fuck, man. And so I have these like hardwirings as an adult. I have these, it took a long time to get my brain to where it was now. It took a long time to wire my brain. They're like, what is it, 18 years, which is like, I don't know, what's 18 times 4? You do the math. Like seasons, like they're saying, like I saw the breakdown of the first 18 years of your life, and it's thousands of hours. It was thousands of hours. 18 years this man had to wire my brain in a certain way to show me that I didn't deserve available, healthy love, and that love just takes and takes and takes. So you should avoid it. And it's going to take me it's going to take a little bit of time to unwire that. I think it's important for people to know that. I think when we go on the self-help journey or trying to change ourselves, people quit so quickly because they think that it's going to happen overnight, that it's going to be like, they think it's going to happen overnight. They think like, I've put a little bit of effort in, and why haven't I changed? Why do I have a relapse? Why am I going back to who I was before? Why am I backsliding? And it's like, well, it took you a really long time to get this way. You're not going to have it all figured out, unwired by like Thursday night in time to emerge into your new life. It takes time, and it takes a lot of self-love and patience, and having a lot of really, really supportive, loving people around you. And this last year, I embarked on that, that journey. And I had to let go of a lot of toxic people, a lot of people that, one, thrived off of me, not being healthy, loved that I, drank too much or didn't put my needs first. And when I made the decision to change my life, all of those toxic people just sort of fucked off on their own, which was incredible. And then I also had to work on allowing the healthy, supportive people love me, because that was another hard thing. I still have that where I get love and respect and, encouragement. And I have this pit in my stomach. Like, I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I don't deserve this. And that's just my brain, my hardwired brain, that I was told for a lot of years that I wasn't enough and that I wasn't deserving. So if you are trying to change, be nice to yourself. I mean, always be nice to yourself. That's sort of my cheerleader thing. I tell all of my friends when they're going through it, and I tell it to myself too. Just be nice to yourself. Just be fucking nice to yourself. It's hard, and change is hard. That's why a lot of people don't do it. I was having an argument with a friend last week. I don't even know. That's not even a thing I want to get into. I think, there's going to be some people that I will have to leave behind the further in my journey I go. I read somewhere that said, where you're going next, you're going to have to leave some people behind. And I think there's a new friend I'm going to have to leave behind, and it's not my favorite thing in the world, but he and I got into a discussion. I'll say discussion, not an argument, that he doesn't believe people change. He's like, they alter, but they don't change. People don't change to their core. And I was like, I have. And he was like, well, and it just made me realize, I was like, oh, you don't know me. Like, we don't have anything else in common except for we just like go out and grab a couple drinks every now and then like that. He's like my buddy that I like drink with still. But it's just like, oh, you don't know me. If you genuinely, and he was like, no, you've changed. And I was like, so I thought you said people couldn't change. And he's like, well, they don't usually. And I don't know if I think that's a blanket statement. I know a lot of people who have changed. Look, you don't change if you're like, the saying, you don't change if you don't change. Like, nothing changes if nothing changes. Like, you can't be like, I want to change my life and then literally do the same shit you're doing, right? You gotta, and it's hard, and it's habit forming. You know what I write every morning. I wake up every morning, I meditate, I write, I read affirmations. And I'm doing this new thing where I don't look at my screens until I am done with the meditation and the writing, which, I'm a adorable little work in progress, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes I've been doing it. Today I was successful in doing it. And you know what? It's noon and I've already almost got this recorded. I've done 3 auditions. Part of my apartment's clean. You know what I mean? Like anytime I do it that way, like I'm just so much more successful. But it's not, I don't know. I had to claw my way out of whatever. I don't want to call it hell, but before the pandemic, like when the pandemic hit and we were going to have to be alone in our apartments for 2 weeks, I was terrified. I called my then sponsor. She wasn't the most supportive about it. She's going through her own thing though, that's why she's a former sponsor, not a current one. But she was like, well, I don't know. I think it'll be all right. And I was like, I don't have a job. Like my job had shut down like 2 months prior. And I was like, I don't have a job. I was doing like side jobs in order to like pay rent on top of getting the unemployment, because unemployment's a joke how much they give you, right? It's so funny that's like across the board the same, but it costs less to live in like Montana than it does in New York. Anyway, there we could get into that all day. But I was like, I don't have a job and I am not doing my ACA stuff. Like I was like, I'm not, I'm falling off and I can't get to meetings and I'm not doing step work. And I'm like, I tried to tell her, I was like, I'm not going to be okay in this lockdown. Like I'm barely holding on. And she basically was like, well, that's what savings are for, like credit cards. And it was just like, okay, well, I understand what, like, and again, like, I'm not putting her down. Like, everyone's going through their own thing, and that's why you pick it. That's why she's no longer my sponsor, and why I now have one that I can have a cry for help, and it's just not like you'll be fine. But at the beginning of the lockdown, I made a choice to change the inside of my brain. And I did. And it was really hard. And I'm so grateful that we were locked down for it. I know that's a weird thing. A lot of people are not grateful for the lockdowns. A lot of people are. I don't know. I'm grateful for it because I spent a lot of the first 6 months that we were inside. That's such a wild statement, the fact that we were inside for so long. But the first 6 months that we were inside, crying every day. And I don't mean like how I'm like, oh, I cry every day. I mean like crying every day, like grieving, just like intense grief, because you got to do grief work if you want to change. You got to look back at the past. You got to admit your side of the street. You got to look at the shit that you don't want to fucking look at. So my buddy who's like, people don't change. And I'm like, you're right. They don't. People don't change if they don't change. Like, that's like, you can't be like, I don't like my life, and then I want it to change, but then literally do the exact same thing you're doing every day. That's the definition of insanity, baby. I don't know why I said baby. I got that from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She goes, definition of insanity. Learn that in Murder Rehab, baby. But yeah, it is the definition of insanity, doing the exact same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So it's like, so I did a lot of grieving. I did a lot of writing about my sexual abuse. I was having, as I said last week, I was having hardcore, horrible sex dreams about my dad. They were horrible. And this was one of the reasons why my sponsor and I broke up. I told her that, I mean, I idly said it, but I was just like, I'm doing my best. But if if I continue to have these dreams about my father, I'm going to kill myself. And then she was like, I can't be your sponsor until you get to therapy. Like, everyone's idly said they're going to kill themselves, right? Like, I wasn't like, and I like half kidding, right? Like, obviously I wasn't going to like slip my wrist then, but no, I stand by it. If I was told I was going to have these horrible graphic sex dreams about my dad for the rest of my life, I'd kill myself. If they were like, there's literally nothing you can do. I like it here. I like myself. I'm very happy here. I can't wait to see what happens next. I have so many things to look forward to. But if you told me that was my fate when I went to sleep, I'm telling you, those dreams are so horrible. And she broke up with me. Which was awful. That was actually, it wasn't really that awful. It was awful for a few days, but I had support and I had enough self-love and self-care that I knew that her reaction had more to do with her shit. I found out later that she had been struggling with these thoughts and actually committed herself for a little bit. So I knew it like had nothing to do with me. And by the way, the woman who is like bad mouthing my book or like talking about all the mistakes she's found, I'm using air quotes because some of those mistakes, everything in there except for the word forward, I wanted it to be that way. So if you're reading it and be like, I saw some mistakes, yeah, I talk and run on sentences. But that woman too, like anytime someone's criticizing you, I'm going to give you something wild. Anytime you find yourself being hypercritical, this is, if you put down the mirror or put down the microscope and pick up a mirror, right? Because it's like, it's always about you. If you're hypercritical of people, you got some shit you need to work through. And like, so this woman, my old sponsor who, broke up with me when I told her that I was going to kill myself if I kept having sex dreams about my dad. What a wild sentence. I'm grateful too that I'm in a place that I can share that and not have any shame, because there was a time, and at the time that I had told this sponsor this, that I told her this, I was deeply ashamed of these, deeply ashamed of them. And the fact that she was like, oh my God, no, this is disgusting. Like, kind of like, it was just like, but it had nothing. It was, anytime someone's that way and they're pointing a finger at you, it's one finger at you, three back at them, right? Like the girl who is fucking like picking apart the grammar in my book, that's her own shit, right? She's got her own demons that she's trying to work through, and it's easier for her to look at me and pick me apart than it is for her to like look inward, right? My old sponsor, point like, you need to get help, you need to do this, you need to do that. That's one finger at me, three back at her. And I'm grateful that I had enough recovery and enough self-love in me, and I had done enough grieving and crying. God, if she had done that, I don't know, like 6 months prior, forget about it. I would have internalized it. I would have people pleased. I would have apologized. I would have I would have committed myself as she told me to, right? But I had enough in me to be like, I know that I'm not suicidal, but I think that's a valid statement, right? If anybody was told that that's what they were going to do, that was their fate for the rest of their life, they'd be like, you know what, I'm going to take my chances on the other side. We don't know what's happening. Hell might be fine, right? And so I reached out to enough people in program after my the old sponsor had told me, like, if you don't get into therapy immediately, I'm not going to sponsor you anymore. And I get it. Choose like, I don't know, nobody wants a sponsee that kills themselves on your watch, but my new sponsor, when I told her this, she was like, yeah, you are so far from that. I understand what you were saying. That is valid, that you were valid. I see you. And so I asked this new woman to be my sponsor, and I did my step 5. So in 12-step program, step 4s were basically write down every little bad thing you've ever done or every little bad thing that's ever happened to you. And then step 5 is you tell a person. It is not for the faint of heart. It is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I had to do it twice in ACA because I got the new sponsor. And it was just like, well, I was like on like step 8 or something. And she was like, I'd like you to go back to step 5 and us do a step 5 so I know what the fuck, happened to you. I don't think I can, and which is fair. But I tell her my step 5, and part of it is the dreams I have about Tom. Had this woman in 2 sittings validated that this wasn't something to be ashamed of, that a lot of victims of sexual abuse and assault have these dreams about their abuser. And then we also flipped the script, like looked at them. And in all the dreams, I was an adult woman. I was having dreams like me, Kim Kral, now with my father. And it was like, and the problem is that I was still taking responsibility for what had happened to me as a kid. I was still seeing the memories as me now, not me as an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old. 5. And as soon as I was able to look at it and be like, oh my God, I wasn't in control of that at all. That guy, I was a child. I wasn't able to say yes or no. And as soon as I was able to see that that's why I was dreaming as me as an adult, is because I was still taking shame and blame as to what happened to me as a kid, the dreams stopped. Right? They stopped, completely stopped. And I cannot tell you that, like, if that's all I got, like, if that doesn't prove to me that people can change, things can change, I don't know what will. I thought that I was going to have to, keep that to myself. That was a secret that I was horribly ashamed of. And I couldn't tell anybody ever. In fact, when I told my first sponsor, like I almost was like, nah, I think I'm going to keep this one to myself. And then I told her, and to her credit, she was, very loving. Later, she was going through her own thing. So I adore this woman. I wish her well. We're not really in each other's lives. Love her, love her, love her. Once again, one finger at me, three back at her. She had her own shit going on. But like the fact that I was able to open up to another person and tell them the ugliest parts about me, the fact that I can sit in this closet and tell people that are strangers, aren't strangers. You guys don't even really feel like strangers to me anymore. You got most of you have reached out to me and talked to me about what people I haven't even met before, about things I've talked about. But the fact that I can sit in here and talk about this and not be like, oh, should I delete that? Should I delete that? Or should I like not say that? Or maybe we should just keep it surfacey. Like the fact that I'm able to do that, people can change. But nothing changes if nothing changes. I know that that is an annoying saying, but it's so true. If you want to change your goddamn life, you got to change your goddamn life. And this friend of mine, he said a lot of really unfair things to me. And it's the same. It's the same. One finger at me, three back at him. It's all projection, right? And you know when you're like, all right, I fucked up. I did fuck up. But most of, that kind of stuff, I don't know, man. The word forward. I might go through and in the signed books, cross it out and write it correctly. But then I think that will be drawing attention to something that most people aren't going to notice. I don't know, man. That fucking word haunts me. I'm returning to Dash today. I'm going to be on a show. I don't know if it's live or when it airs, so I am not really sure, but I'm going to be on Zoe Williams' show. Dash. I've not been to Dash in a year and a half, almost 2 years, probably. Wild. I don't know what month it is. Over a year and a half at least. So I'm making to promote the book, and it's just really exciting. It's a lot of really cool stuff going on, and I'm grateful, and I'm working really hard not to focus on the negative shit, because people do throw rocks at things that shine. Thanks, T Swift, right? Like that's anytime. But I will say, and I got this, I wrote this about a guy in in the book. He told me that that once you get on a different level, like, cause I was talking about open mic time and like how everyone was like always shitting on me at open mics, like mostly for being a pretty woman, which is so archaic and stupid. Women can't be funny. But I was just like, yeah, it's just really getting to me. Like women are kind of catty towards me. Men are kind of assholes and they don't take me seriously until they see that I'm funny. And he goes, yeah, that only happens at the open mic level. He's like, once you get further in your career and you're like, busy all the time, all of your peers, the only time they have is to say hi, oh, I'm glad you're doing well, and move on and focus on their own shit. So people who are reaching out to let me know that something's wrong in my book, they have nothing, they're dealing with their own shit. And I have to focus on that. Man, I got to focus on that. Because even the Mona Lisa is falling apart. That's going to be the name of the episode. That's why I keep saying it. I decided that, and then I was like, say it one more time so people, I don't know, I love that movie. I love it. I remembered a story, and I don't know if I've told you guys this or not. I was thinking about my childhood and all the people like in my youth. We're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna do some funny stuff. And then Roger sent me a poop scoop, and I haven't read it yet, but it had the disclaimer of, I'm sorry if it's way too long, which means I love long poop scoops, by the way. If you want to send me a poop scoop, and that, like, I love the long details of like how you were like, sweating and hiding behind a bush, trying not to shit your pants while the guy whose house you just TP'd is looking for you. I just made that up, but I could see it in my head, right? Like, I love that shit. So if you send me a poop scoop, send me your poop scoops. It's kimkralspace@gmail.com, KYMKRAL space@gmail.com. Space as spell it out. Crawl space. So Kim Crawl space. I don't know why I think that's confusing. I should give you guys more credit. You guys. And also if you want to send me I'm One Lucky Broads, or just to say hi. I love the saying hi. Let's see here. So I was thinking about when I told this story the other day in a group of people, and it was so fucking funny. When my cousin Jeff was like at that weird age, he was like, I don't know, he's like a late teen, mid teen. He was in high school, and he and I were close, right? We were close when we were younger, and then we're close now. I haven't talked to him in a while, but like I was his best man in his wedding. But when he was in that age, that high school weird age where they don't like anybody, we were driving down the street, and I was an adult. I think I was living in LA, or I was about to move to LA, and I wanted to connect with him, right? Like, cause he was just like that deafening quiet of a teenager, and you're just trying to like, and I'm sure we all did it to our parents. And then now as an adult, I'm like, talk to me, love me. Right. So we're driving down the street and we're not talking, and I'm trying to figure out a way to make him laugh. So we're in this like residential area, and on the other side of the street, there is a bird just sitting there minding his business just in the middle of the street. And I decide in my head, I'm like, swerve and pretend to hit the bird, and then that'll be really funny, right? So I like swerved really quick, and I thought the bird would fly away, like the whole George Costanza. We had an agreement. I thought the bird would fly away. Instead, I hit the bird. I killed the bird. So not only did I kill a bird, but it looks like I went out of my way, like Grand Theft Auto style, to kill the bird. Like I like swerved in the other lane, killed the bird, and then swerved back. And then he and I drove in silence for like 30 seconds. And finally he goes, "You just killed a bird." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, I don't know. And I think about that all the time. I think years later we talked about it. He goes, "Yeah, I remember you went out of your way to like kill a bird." And I was like, "Yeah." And then another thing I wanted to talk about. So I had these neighbors, Cody, Raylene, Steven, and Big Steve. So Raylene and Big Steve were the parents, and then Steven and Cody were the kids. And I wonder where these people are all the time. I have no idea what their last name was. I know it started with a W. And I want to know, like, if you told me they were all dead, I would believe you. My dad told me one time they were big gun-toting people, right? And Raylene had this big blonde hair, and we used to pick on her kids all the time. And then she was like the mom that would come out and yell at the other kids. Don't do that. It just makes the bully kids make fun of your kid more. And it sucks to see your kid. I used to tell my mom this because she would go and like threaten the little kids that my little brother got picked on a lot. And she would go out and like threaten them. And I'm like, "Oh man, you're just making it worse for him. Just making it worse." Now they're like, "Oh, your mom needs to come help you." Like the best thing you can do, I think, is like teach your kid how, and I'm not a parent, so I have no idea. I know that if anybody picked on Henry, I'd slit their throat, no problem, right? So I get it. I'm just saying Raylene would come out and yell at us for picking on Steven. And then she'd go inside and we'd be like, "Oh, Steven had to tell his mom." And he'd be like, "Shut up, I did not have to." And it's like, I don't know. I mean, like we picked on and that sucks. That's just how kids suck. Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, they picked on me too. Like the tables were turned, like when they were all boys. I remember one time I was outside and I was walking home or something like this. And like this is like my dad wasn't going to ever stand up for me ever. Right. Like then I appreciate this about him because it did make me tougher, and it was better than him coming out and yelling at the other kids. So I was walking home one day, and Steven and his friends were sitting in their yard, and I was walking, and they like started throwing water balloons at me. Right. And I was very upset. I was like, my makeup was done. I was like, I was trying to be cute and girly, and I was so mad, and they like ambushed me. I ran in the house, and I was like, "Dad, Steven and his friends threw water balloons at me." And I'm crying, I'm yelling. And my dad looked up from his TV and his scotch, which he often did. Those were the two things he was typically up to. And he said, "I don't know why you're in here telling on people. There's a hose in the backyard, isn't there?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, put the hose on them. Why are you in here telling on people?" And I was like, "Okay." So I like got the hose already, and then I walked around the side of the house, and I sprayed all those boys with a bunch of water, and they never fucked with me again. So the fact that that to me is like good parenting, right? Like instead, so one time Cody, Oh man, Cody was really little too. He was like 5 maybe. And I mean, like, I don't know, he seemed like he was like 2 and I felt like I was 20, but we were only like probably like 3 years apart. So I was probably like 12 and he was probably like 9. But he was like picking on me, or he's like yelling and being a little brat. So then he like snuck up on the side of our house and I sprayed the hose on him. And then Raylene came running over to yell at me. And then I sprayed the hose on her. I don't know how I didn't get in trouble for that. And then another time we were mad at Raylene and we were like, because she was yelling at us for being mean to her kids. So then we took one of the boys caught a gardener snake and we put it in her mailbox. And then we watched from my bedroom window as she got the mail, and then the snake flew out at her and she screamed and ran into the house. And then for the next couple of weeks, every time she got the mail, she'd like open it real quick and look in there. I don't think I've ever told anybody that snake story. I don't think I've ever told anybody that snake story. It's a terrible, terrible thing. I mean, I was a little kid. I was probably like 10, and that bitch yelled at me all the time. And like, also, if we were so bad to Steven, why'd Steven keep coming out to play with us? Like, I was like, he knew what he was getting involved in. I mean, we were the only kids in the neighborhood, and I was the oldest, which now, in hindsight, it's kind of like sad, right? I was like the oldest with no friends, so I just bullied around the little kids. And again, little kids, they were like 2 years younger than me at most. Yeah, this girl from my high school, that was one of our friends, quote, I use friends because she's not, I mean, I think we're friends on Facebook, but she was quite the bully to me. But my group of friends started hanging out with this older girl. We were like freshmen and she was a junior, and they started hanging out with this older girl. And then they asked me if I wanted to come hang out one Friday. I was like, yeah, you guys never play with, I say play. I played dolls back then. So it's like, you guys never want to hang out with me. And they were like, yeah, we hang out with this girl now, Brandy. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to go out. So Brandy picks me up in her car. You know, she has a car. It's so exciting. And then the whole night is spent where Brandy's just a dick to all of us, like yelling at everybody, picking on everyone. Like, I'm the coolest person ever. Aspen's a loser, you know, like that kind of thing. And I was like, what's with Brandy? Like, one, she has no friends her own age. And two, she's really mean to all of us. And all of you guys just sort of look down and let her do it. I was promptly kicked out of Brandy's group after that, and then was, you know, intermittently was allowed to come. It was actually a really rough time for me in high school because they wouldn't be my friend, and they would be my friend. Then Brandy sucked, and Brandy was cool. And the best day of my high school career is when I met my best friend, Catherine. And I broke out. I was just like, oh, I don't really want to be your friends anymore. And they were like, what? Why? And I was like, oh, you guys are really mean to me. So I'm going to clap out of this whole thing. Right. And what's cool is that I didn't have to, I don't know. I did that on my own. And I think that was the lesson Tom gave me with the whole water balloon thing, was if people are mean to you, you don't need to tattle. You can just handle it yourself, which I don't know. It's not black and white, I suppose. I just saw on Instagram this woman. This is what I'll end on. And this, I don't think I've ever told anybody this either. I don't think I've ever told anybody this. So remember troll dolls, like in the 80s and the 90s, the troll dolls. I think they're still around. I think there's a movie or something for children now, but it's like, I collected them. I have like probably 40 of them somewhere in my closet. And I would make them, I'd play with them, right? Like, it'd be like, oh, I'm so-and-so. And I had names for all of them and everything. And like, I played with them like I would play with Barbies. And I had this one that had like a jewel in her stomach. And then she had rainbow hair. And there was this popular girl named Tasha Brown. I think her last name was Tasha Brown. Yeah. Okay. I can pretend that I don't know that's her name. Her name was Tasha Brown. I was obsessed with her. She did this weird thing with her hair. It was the 90s. She had this big flip bangs, but then it had this like bump, but you could stick your whole hand in the bump, right? So there's like I did my favorite troll doll. I did my favorite troll doll, her hair like that, and I named her Tasha. And then I used to play my troll dolls as the popular kids. Like, I name the troll dolls the names of the popular kids, and I would pretend that I was and I totally forgot about it until I saw her on Instagram or Facebook recently. Like this girl from my high school like posted a photo. Someone passed away that I don't know. I don't remember the woman who passed away, but She posted a whole bunch of photos, and one of them, Tasha Brown, was on there. And I was like, oh my God. And I almost, her and Nicole Monaco were like the two like popular girls that I would name my dolls and troll dolls after. And I don't think I ever told anybody, this is Tasha. Oh man. Oh man. I almost requested her friendship, but I was like, that's a little creepy. She has no idea who I am. There's no way that she has any idea who I am. Maybe she does. I don't know. I let it go. I let it be. I was like, and also I don't know. Maybe she's like a big Trumper. You know what I mean? Like maybe she's like, I just don't want the image of Tasha Brown, who I used to mimic my dolls after. I don't want that image to shatter. It's like one of the last things, 14-year-old Kim still has is the image of Tasha Brown. I wonder if anybody who listens to us knows who I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know how to come back from there. All right, you guys ready for some poop scoop? Poop scoop. This is Roger's poop scoop. I'm way too excited about this. All right, as you know, so if you want to send me your poop scoops, did I download it? Okay, I did. Oh my God, I love the fact that he fucking titles them. All right, so if you want to send me your poop scoops, here's a couple things. So send me the poop scoop. It doesn't have to just be that you pooped your pants. We all have embarrassing pooping stories. I have humiliated myself with bowels multiple times without actually getting any of it in my pants. That was a weird way to say that, but you know what I mean. Like there's a million different poop scoops I will accept. Number two, if you don't want me to say your name, you can put it. Roger doesn't care. In fact, Roger wants a list of all the episodes that has his poop scoop in it so he can share with his friends. He could just tell his friends to listen to Crawl Space, but that's another conversation. Hi, Roger. So I have his, so when you're listening to this, don't be like, well, she like really outs Roger. Understand, I have Roger's permission. Roger says yes to this. There's been a couple poop scoops that I don't read their names. So please, if you want, if you don't mention, like if you don't say either way, like if you're not like, please don't say my name, or you can say my name, I will just err on the side of caution and not say your name. So, oh no, I don't want that. So know that. So those are the things. And then also I'm not going to read it until I'm live in my closet, not live in my closet, reading it out loud. So I have a real-time reaction, right? So if you send me a poop scoop, maybe have a space before the poop scoop starts. You know what I mean? Like, because there's some that are like writing out. Roger puts it in like a whole PDF, which is just fucking glorious, man. But like maybe poop scoop starts now. I don't know. Or I'll just read the whole email coming forward. I think we've all been disclaimed. So here we go. Are we ready for the poop scoop? Poop scoop booty. All right. This one is titled Away Game. Oh man, this one happened at age 31. I had been dating a girl for a few months and I really liked her. So that means no pooping at her place ever. All caps. I mean, I don't like pooping anywhere but home, but definitely not in a hot gal's place, no matter how long we're dating. Oh man, I feel like the first day you poop in a significant other's place is, like a real stepping stone. Luckily for me, for the first several months, she was still living in a place that she shared with her ex in Studio City. This meant we exclusively slept at my place for a few months. Then she moved into Hollywood, and it was the end of avoiding sleeping at her place, thus losing my home field advantage. The first night I slept at her place, I woke up very early, like 6 a.m., and I knew I was going to have to drop one soon. I contemplated my next step carefully. Should I sneak a quick deuce? Or I quickly got dressed, drove home, and pooped. Problem avoided, right? Nope. Nope. Guess who doesn't like waking up alone after a nice sleepover date? My girlfriend and most romantic partners, I imagine. I like it too, but only at my place, so I can comfortably poop. It didn't help that I had never had a girlfriend for longer than 2 years, much less cohabitated with a girl. Anyway, I eventually came clean to her and told her how I didn't like using her bathroom for my morning rituals. These are all air quotes, rituals, and how I needed to be home in case anything went sideways. Those are air quotes. like a shy child. I couldn't even use any of the actual synonyms for shitting. I just danced around it with dumb metaphors like evacuating, like evacuating and using the powder room. But she got the point. She told me that she loved me and understood my neuroses. She reminded me that she had used my bathroom frequently and it wasn't weird. True, but I felt like a kid learning that everybody poops, like that book teaches. No wonder I'm 50 and single. You learned everybody poops at 31. I love you. So now it was all on the table. I had to pretend to be an adult and act comfortable pooping around her. Yeah, nobody is comfortable pooping, right? I don't think so. I've never gotten that far in a relationship where I can comfortably be like, I'm gonna go shit. And I don't know if I ever want to be. I want people to poop. Like boyfriends have pooped, he's pooping. I don't know. Jimmy the Dragon used to poop a lot, but he had that cocaine thing going on. I had to pretend to be an adult and act comfortable pooping around her. I was ready to show her my new confidence a few nights later. We had dinner and a movie at her place, and I made sure to eat light. Oh, sorry. I forget to turn off the sound effect of the sometimes it scares me. The sound effect of the in song, or I forget to whatever. This doesn't matter. We'll go back to this. Okay. So I was ready to show her my new confidence a few nights later. We did dinner and a movie at her place, and I made sure to eat light. I thought this would ensure that I didn't have a heavy flow the following morning. Heavy flow. You still can't say shit. The next day, I woke up early again. I always wake up early. My body says, wake up. It's time to poop every damn morning. If not for that phenomena, I maybe be able to sleep until noon every day or shit my pants every morning. Anyway, I got up and went to her bathroom. I was not worried because it was 7 a.m. She was sound asleep and I could take my time. That's the other thing. I take a long morning poop and I don't like to be judged, like 20 minutes long. Stop judging me. I'm pretty sure I have undiagnosed IBS, but I digress. He actually wrote in all caps, stop judging me. I'm not. I think a lot of people like a long poop. I don't really. Sometimes I do if I'm reading something, but then you get the ring around your butt, right? And if you go back and there's a person in the room and you decide to start getting a little, you have sex, then you have still a toilet ring around your butt. I have wet wipes for those of you who are like, oh my God, you have sex after you poop, whatever. So I dropped the boys off at her pool, wiped with her public restroom quality toilet paper and washed my hands. I love that men are really upset about toilet paper because they think all of our toilet paper is public restroom quality. Anyway, as I turned off the faucet, I heard something, water? No. The fucking toilet is overflowing. Panic. This is truly my nightmare. So I reached for the plunger. She just moved in this place and doesn't have a plunger. Who doesn't have a plunger? What? That's the first thing I buy, or I just have the same plunger. I don't know where this plunger's come from. I assume I've had it for years. I think I pack it. You just have a plunger. You never want to be somewhere without a plunger. This woman was a monster, Roger. More panic. What do I do? The water is now leaking onto the floor. Turn off the water, Roger. So I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a mop. I used the handle to shove the toilet paper that was creating the log jam. He's still using euphemisms. It's so great. It took a minute, but it worked. I also had to mop, so I'm glad I grabbed the right tool. She woke up as I was finishing cleaning and I was mortified. She asked if everything was okay and I snapped. I told you, the damn toilet overflowed. Your toilet paper sucks. I had to use so much. Why don't you have a fucking plunger? I don't know why I say plumber. Plunger. She calmly said, it's okay, babe. No big deal. I responded, it is a big deal to me. We both knew that I was just lashing out from the embarrassment. So I stepped outside and smoked some weed. When I came back in, I apologized profusely for the mess and snapping at her. She told me that she totally understand that the nightmare I had imagined a week earlier had just happened. She was very sweet and understanding. That's That's how she made it into a poop scoop 5 years later. Oh, that's how she made it into my next poop scoop 5 years later. Oh, gosh, we're going to get another one. Oh, God. Thank you, Roger. I mean, yeah, that's horrifying. I told you guys about the time that I pooped at Rob's for the first time, right? Rob was a boyfriend I had. I was 31 as well. I don't know. I'm yelling. We had gotten like a particularly bad fight the night before. And like, so he was going to stay home and like work from home that day so we could like spend more time together. I think I had the day off or something. And it was just like, oh, that way we can like spend more time together. And he's like, and you can work on your website. He was so shitty about my career. Everything was like, you need to be doing more. Why are you out every night? He was a nightmare, but I had to poop so bad. And I had never pooped there before. So I didn't know what to do. And we lived like 3 miles away, right? Like not even that. I think we lived like a mile from each other, but it's like a 15-minute drive in LA time, right? And so we lived not too far away. So I was like, okay, I'm like, I gotta go. I'm just gonna go home and shit real quick. And I didn't say that. I was just like, I just have to go home and grab a few things and then I'll come back. And he like wouldn't let me leave. Like it was like, okay, I'm gonna miss you. And I'm like, yeah, I'll see you in a little bit. And it was like an emergency. And he's like, all right, I love you. And I'm like, yeah, you too. All right, I gotta go. And like I was like, I just have to go to your house. So I walk out of the house, I shut the door, I go to the elevator, and I'm sitting there and I'm like sweating. Like I'm gonna shit my pants. And I'm like, and then there was a moment where I was like, you either are gonna have to poop in your new boyfriend's house, or you're going to shit your pants and you're going to bring on a whole other set of problems that you're not going to be able to, I mean, pooping in your car is a nightmare, like the mess, right? Rose, sorry. So like I come back, I knock on the door and he answers and he's like, you came back. And I'm like, go on the balcony and we are to never speak of this again. And he's like, what? I was like, get outside. And then I went, and I'm not a long pooper. Usually like I just wait till the last possible minute. That's probably why I've shit my pants so many times. And I quickly pooped. And then he came out and he's like, do I want to know? And I was like, no. And it's just so funny because like everybody knows everybody poops. It was funny when we broke up too. He brought me a bag of my stuff. Like I had this drawer. And so he emptied out the drawer. And the drawer was just like, there was like a toothbrush, a razor, tweezers, and then like 40 boxes of matches, poopery, air spray or whatever, Febreze. It was like 3 practical things, like a toothbrush, a razor, and tweezers, and then like 50 things that helped me like cover up my shit at his house. By the way, have things like that in your own apartment. You know what I mean? Like it's very comfortable pooping in my apartment. I have poopery, I have matches, I have a candle, I have spray, and I have a squatty potty. I have wet wipes, so that way you can just like clean it up down there. And I have a Playboy magazine, a fun cat book, and then a fun self-help book. So you have like an array of options to read from. I don't know. I just feel like everyone should be understanding and that was so good, Roger. Thank you everybody. Thanks you. I've gotten messages about where's the Rogers poop scoop. So send me your poop scoops. I'm gonna say I'm one lucky broad. I am one lucky broad. What a great week. I am one lucky broad that I have so many supportive humans in my life, and I'm one lucky broad that I have so much support and love in my life that like even if I veer off track for a minute and focus on negative comments, I have enough people, enough awesome humans in my life and enough recovery of my own to like kick me back on track, So that's the show, everybody. I don't have any more reviews. So if you haven't left a review and you've been thinking about it, please do. Please. They just help. The more I get, the more iTunes will push it forward and the more people will hear Crawl Space. I have my book. If you haven't bought it yet, please buy it. You can buy it on Amazon, Confessions of a Recovering Party Girl. Or if you want a signed copy, you can get it from me on kimkral.com. Half of you are going to get forward spelled wrong and the other half are going to get spelled right. And in my brain, I'm just going to say when it's spelled wrong, that means you got in a limited edition, and it means that you were a #1 fan because you got the first one that came out, right? That's what I'm going to tell myself when I'm super famous and people are like, did you get the forward correctly spelled? That's how I've made myself feel better about it. But those are going out. I'm waiting on bookmarks right now to be put in there. They're supposed to be ready this morning. They're not, but they'll be ready later this afternoon. And then I will get out the signed books and I think that's it. I also have a Patreon. I still haven't updated it. I will. It's just been a wild couple of weeks, my friends, but I will get it updated. I promise. My promises are just empty at this point, but I will do my best. I am just doing my best, my friends. I think that's all we can ask for of any of us. All right, guys, this was a fun episode to record. It's nice to get that troll doll thing off my chest. So creepy. If anybody listens to this and they know Tasha Brown, I don't know. I guess you could tell her. It's just really weird. I was borderline obsessed with her and her hair. She was just so cool. I bet she's still really cool. All right, guys. I'm Kim Kral. You can follow me on everything. KYMKRAL. Email me KimKralspace KYMKRALSPACE @gmail.com. And if you haven't already, please buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book. Okay. That's it. All right. Have a good week, everybody. Bye. Kral space, I'm Kim Kral.